Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. So today we're going to be doing a tutorial here. Now this is a cocoon cardigan, and this is very simple to do. This is a very easy style cardigan. As you can see in the pictures, it's made to be just a little loose, and it's super easy to do. So the top you see folds up. Here's the neckline. It's got the ribbing all the way around it, and it can fold like that. Goes down, and it's got ribbing all the way down here. Kind of makes like a cocoon shape, I would say. I guess that's how it got its name. All this actually is a big rectangle, and then it's folded here and sewn to make some sleeves. And then I put the same style of ribbing on the sleeves and the exact same measurement there, so you can see it in the picture. Now the sleeves aren't meant to go all the way completely all the way down your arm. You know, you've seen the picture, but of course you can always make the ribbing longer if you want. If you however long you want the ribbing, if you want it to go all the way down your arm, that is completely fine. But this is super easy. This is a great cardigan. This cocoon style is very easy. The stitch I use is very easy, but the cocoon style cardigan in general is very easy especially for someone that's never made wearables. This is a very easy one to start with. So I promise that you can do this even if you've never made a wearable before in your life. So the main stitch here is the blanket stitch. It's all done in the blanket stitch, and that's just a 1-row repeat. So if you know how to single and double, you got this. And then we add ribbing on it all the way around, which is also very simple. It's a little time consuming, but it's very simple. And then, I use a yarn needle, and that's how we sew up the sleeves here. And then we put some ribbing around the edge of the sleeve. Super simple. So I'm going to be referring you to the description box for sizing. I'll have the gauge there and some sizes. Remember, it's not meant to close all the way, as you've seen in the pictures. It's kind of how cocoon style cardigans, most of them are. I guess some of them might close, but most of them generally don't close. They fit pretty much like you've seen in the picture. Now in the picture, that's me. I am 5'3" on a good day, and I am wearing the size large because I wanted it to be a bit bigger probably than normally I'd wear a medium. But I like things really oversized, if that makes any sense. So you got this, I promise. At least if you like this, and even if you think that you can't do it, at least give it a try. You're going to see how easy it is. Remember, all the size information, engaging, and everything like that will be in the description box, okay? So let's go ahead and talk about the yarn that I use for this particular tutorial. Tell you what, I never was a cocoon wearing type of cardigan person, but I really like the yarn that I use, so I might wear it. And I like that I chose a bigger size because, like I said, I like things loose. So the yarn that I use for the one that you see is called a James C. Brett Aztec Aran with alpaca. Now I purchased this at the Wool Warehouse, which is in the UK. I'm sure that you can get it other places, but that is where I purchased this from. You do not have to use this yarn. You don't have to use it. This is a 4-weight yarn though, so you will need to use some type of 4-weight. Any 4-weight you choose. You can use Red Heart Super Saver, or you can use high-end cashmere. As long as it's a 4-weight, it'll be fine. But this particular one is a 90% acrylic and 10% alpaca. And the color, if you are interested, is AL14. Now, this particular ball has 190 meters or 208 yards. Now, for the size that I did, the large, extra large, it took about 1,425 yards. I will give approximately how much yardage you will need for each size in the description box, because each size will be a little bit different. All right, so go ahead and don't forget to refer to that for all all sizing things, how to start your chain, the gauge, how much yarn you're going to need, and everything else. And then every size that we do is going to be made with my favorite J. It's upside down, which is a 6mm crochet hook. You guys ready to get started? All right, let's do it. I'm going to show you on a smaller scale since I have my big piece done already. Now remember, the chain count will be different depending on what size you're doing. I'm doing the large, extra large size for the one that you've seen in the picture. And this is, like I mentioned, the blanket stitch, and it is done in a straight multiple 3. That means that your chain is just needs to be evenly divisible by 3. And again, refer to the description box for the chain count for your size. But for the large size, like I did, you want to start out with a chain of 144 stitches. 144. All right. And for row 1, what we're going to do is we are going to do 2 double crochets in the 3rd stitch from our hook. So we don't count the one that's on our hook. We go 1, 2, and in the 3rd stitch, we're going to work 2 double crochets into that stitch. There's 1, and there's 2. Now we're going to start the repeat of row 1. We are going to skip 2 stitches, skip, skip, and in the next one we're going to put 1 single crochet, and in the same stitch we're going to put 2 double crochets. So in that stitch is 1 single and 2 doubles, just like that. And then we're going to repeat this all the way across. So again, we're going to skip 2, skip, skip, and then the next, go into it, and we work 1 single and 2 doubles into the same stitch. There's 1 and 2. Again, we're going to repeat it. Skip 2, skip, skip, and in the next one we single and work 2 doubles into the same stitch. Now we're going to repeat this pattern until we have 3 stitches that remain. Skip 2, skip, skip, and we single and 2 doubles all into the next. And I'll meet back up with you when we have 3 stitches that remain. All right, so I've made it and I have 3 stitches that remain. See that? So I am going to skip 2 and single crochet into the last stitch. So skip, skip, and in the last stitch we're going to single crochet. And that will end row 1. Now row 2 is the repeat row for the entire pattern. It's okay if it's curling and whatnot. It'll straighten out the more rows that you do. So remember, it's just a 1 row repeat. It's very, very easy to do. So row 2, we are going to start off with a chain of 2. 1, 2, and we're going to turn our work. Now we're going to go back into that very first stitch here, that single crochet that we just did from the previous row, and we're going to work 2 double crochets into it. So there's 1, and there's 2. Now we're going to start the repeat of row 2. So we're going to skip 2 stitches, skip, skip, and in the next stitch, which will be the single crochet from the previous row, we're going to go into it and we're going to work a single crochet and 2 doubles into that same stitch. See how easy that is? You guys got this. And let's repeat. Skip 2 stitches, skip, skip, and it'll be that single crochet from the previous row. Go into that and we work 1 single and 2 doubles into the same stitch. Again, skip 2, skip, skip. It'll be the single from the previous row. Go right into it and work a single crochet and 2 doubles. And this is what we're going to repeat until we get to the end of row 2. Again, skip 2 stitches, skip, skip. The next stitch is single crochet from the previous row, and we work a single crochet and 2 doubles. So this, see, I know you guys got this. You got it. Just like that. So I'm going to finish this out, and I'll see you at the end of row 2. All right, so I'm coming to the end of row 2, and what we're going to do is we are going to end by putting a single crochet here in this chain 2, the top of this chain 2 space at the end of the row. We're just going to put a single crochet right into the top of it, and that ends row 2, and that is the repeat row. That is what we repeat back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until we get it as tall as we want it to be. So for row 3, I'm just going to repeat row 2. We're going to chain 2, turn our work, go back into this very first stitch here and work 2 double crochets. There's 1 and there's 2. Remember, we're just repeating row 2. And again, we're going to start the repeat. We skip 2, skip, skip, and the single crochet from the previous row gets a single crochet and 2 doubles. Just like that. Again, skip 2, skip, skip, single crochet from the previous row will be the next stitch, and we go in it and we work a single crochet and 2 doubles. And this is what I'm going to repeat for the end of row 3. The same thing that we just did on row 2. Super easy. It's actually pretty quick as well. Well, this part is. All right, I'm going to repeat this and I'll meet back up with you and I'll show you how to end the row one more time. All right, when you make it to the end of row 3, remember it's just a repeat of row 2, so we're going to end it the same way. We're going to find this chain 2 here and we're going to single crochet into the top of the chain 2. That'll end row 3. And that's it. We're just going to keep repeating row 2 back and forth until you get the piece as tall as you need it to be. All right, so for this part here, once you get this as big as you want it to be, now we're not going to go, as I mentioned, by the number of rows. We're going to go by just a measurement. So you look in the description box and you find the measurement for your size, and then you measure from, don't mind my tails here, I'll hide them later, from the top. So this is my long starting chain here. So you measure from the bottom, I'm sorry, all the way to the top, to the inch that is required for your size. Now mine is 28 and I am finally at 28 inches tall. So what you now have is a rectangle looking piece. So don't tie off after that. Now what we're going to do before we do any ribbing on this or fold it up and make sleeves is we're going to go around this with some single crochet all the way to give it a nice clean edging all the way around. I always think that's important on to have a nice clean base, especially since I'm going to be working ribbing. You know, it's just easier to see the stitches that way. So mine is at 28 inches. You make yours however tall you need it to be for the size that is in the description box. Okay, then we're going to chain 1, which doesn't count as a stitch, and we're going to turn our work. Now first off, we're going to have to even out this top row because it's a little uneven. All right, see that? So we go ahead, we're going to start off with a single crochet into the first stitch, and then we're going to put a single crochet into the next 2 double crochets, And then this single crochet here, we're going to half double crochet into that. There we go. And that's what we're going to do all the way across the top here. And that's going to kind of even out the row a bit. So we're going to single crochet into the next 2 stitches, which are double crochets. And then we're going to half double into the next stitch, which is a single. Repeat that again. Single crochet into the next 2. And half double into the next. Single crochet into the next 2. Now remember, this will be the same for everybody. We're just evening out our edges. And half double into the next. So we're going to repeat this pattern all the way across the top here. It's 2 singles and then a half double. Remember, the half double always goes into the single crochet from the previous row, and the single crochets are going into the doubles. And there you can see it made that top row nice and straight for us to work with, versus over here where it's a bit wavy. All right, so why don't we just go ahead and continue that pattern. Remember, single, single, half double, single, single, half double. I'm going to go all the way across the top, and I'll meet back up with you when we get here to the end. All right, so once you make it to the end here, you just want to, we made it to the end here. So here's our last stitch where we would normally single crochet here in this half double, right? Or this chain 2, okay? So what we're going to do now is we're going to put 3 single crochets, and this is going to be the first corner that we do to go around our piece. So there's 3 single crochets into that last stitch. Now what we're going to do is we need to be as careful as possible and try to evenly space out single crochets along this side here. So you just do your best that you can to evenly space out your single crochets. You can't get them too far apart or your ribbing will bunch up, and if you get them too close together, your ribbing will, if you get them too close together, your ribbing will bunch up. If you get them too far apart, your ribbing will stretch. There you go, that's what I meant to say. So, you just do your best to kind of get them, about like that. Just kind of like you would see a row of single crochet. Just kind of evenly space it all the way down as best as you can. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. And the amount of stitches that I have here, of course, is going to be different than the amount that you have. We just need to evenly space them out all the way down. And so we get to the next corner at the bottom. Them. So those are pretty evenly proportioned, I think. So I'm going to continue all the way down the side until I make it down here to this corner here at the bottom. All right, so I went down the side. See that nice, it gives it a nice clean edge. Now we'll be able to work some nice ribbing along that. So now I'm down here at the bottom. You can see this was the tail from my starting chain. So in that corner down here, I'm going to put 3 single crochets in that same stitch to round that corner. And now I'm going to go across the bottom, putting 1 single crochet in every stitch. And you'll probably be able to see your stitches a little bit better at the bottom than what you could on the side. But again, just do your best to put 1 single crochet in every stitch across until we get to the next corner. All right, once I made it down here to the bottom, I put 3 single crochets on the corner, and then I went up this side and I evenly spaced out single crochets the best that I can. I might have got too many on that side, but that's okay. Now I'm back up at the top of my work. This is where we evened out the top row. So we're going to go across it with single crochet, but in the first stitch we're going to put 3 single crochets in it. So we have 3 single crochets. We'll have three single crochets in all the corners, and I'm going to work across putting 1 single crochet in every stitch until I get to the last stitch of the row. Alright, so I made it all the way back to my beginning where we put 3 single crochets into the corner stitch. Go ahead and slip stitch into the first single crochet of that corner, and then we can, I don't know why I'm leaving that along my tail. Go ahead and clip that off, and now we'll lay it out and I'll show you how to measure for the sleeves. Alright, so you want to lay your piece out. Now the row of single crochet that we just did, you want to make sure the back side of it is facing up now. You can see the single crochets are facing the wrong way, and if I flip it, that's the row of single crochet is the right way. So you want to make sure the wrong side is facing up. So when I measure mine again after putting that row of single crochet on, it actually measures almost 29 inches, something like that. It could have been a little over 28 before, but that's okay. So now we're going to fold this piece. So I'm going to mark off my spot. You want to fold it in half depending on how big you made your piece. Alright, so about the 14.5 area for me, since mine's about 29 inches, it doesn't have to be perfect. You want to take a corner and fold it there to about your middle spot, and then you take your other corner right here and fold it to about the middle spot, and you can kind of straighten them up to where they're about, here we go, see that? So now they're even down here, and you want to do the same thing to the other side. Now I'm going to take my tape measure and let me do the other side real quick. Okay, when it's folded, it should look something similar to this. And now we're going to mark off for the sleeves. So we'll have to sew each of these little triangle areas. I'm going to leave 6 inches for my size. So I come to here, the end, and I measure in about 6 inches. Between 6 and 6.5 inches. It doesn't have to be perfect because we can adjust the number count later. And then you want to just, I'm going to do 6.5. So just right around in here, and then you put a stitch marker there. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect, but tie a stitch marker onto that, and then you do the same to the other side. Like you can look in the description box and see how big to leave your sleeves, but I think everybody's probably, you know, 6.5, 7 inches probably be good for any size. And then Georgie, got that. And then I'm gonna take this back in the room and we're gonna sew this up. Okay, so here's one side I got marked off at in between my 6.5, about 6.5 right there, and I'm going to sew it now. You can sew it any way you want, but I'm going to just sew it, I'm going to flip this around though. It's easier for me to sew it this direction. I'm going to sew it with a yarn needle and a piece of yarn. You could use slip stitch or whatever you want to do it, but now the right side of my single crochets are facing me on these two pieces. So we're going to take where we stitch marked, and I'm going to start in that same stitch, and I'm just going to pull my yarn through. Remember, I just have some yarn on a yarn needle, and I'm going to go into the next stitch and the next stitch on the other piece, like that. And I'm just going to do this back and forth, piece on this side, stitch on this side, stitch on this piece, stitch on this piece, and I'm doing it in the back and forth method versus like over and over. I'm going to do this all the way down on this one, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other sleeve that we marked off at the 6.5 spot. Just like this until we get down to the end down here. And then once you get your ends there, get this all sewn up all the way down here to the end, just go back through and hide your tail, and then you can clip it off. And then you want to sew the other side the same way, and this is your armhole here of your cardigan, Cocoon cardigan. All right, so here's what we got so far, and here's where, let's put some ribbing on it. All right, so for the ribbing, you can start anywhere you want. I'm going to start down on, let me find my bottom. I guess that doesn't matter. It looks the same. Wherever you want to start. I'm going to start on just down here. On the bottom. It doesn't matter. Anywhere, because when you seam it together, you're not really going to be able to tell. So let's go ahead and start this. Let me think here. Okay. So I got the, if you look here, how we're going to start it. This is the front side of my work. Like, well, this will be where your back goes. But you want to start your ribbing with your piece facing like this. All right. Unless, of course, you want to flip your piece around because you like the seam of this better. I kind of like just that seems fine. Anyways, anywhere you want to start. I'm just going to start down here at the bottom, and we're going to do some ribbing, and we're going to work around with ribbing all around across this all the way up here, which should be eventually, that's what will go around your neck, back down past this sleeve, all the way back down here to the bottom to where we started. So I'll show you how we're going to do it. Now you can make your ribbing as long as you want. I'm going to do a chain, let's see, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Kind of look and see if that's how long you want your ribbing. Shoot, I don't know. 11, 12. I think I'll do a chain of 13. Now, if I do a chain of 13, that's going to leave me with my ribbing being 12 stitches long. This part is highly customizable, like I said. Let me take a quick look and see. Yeah, that'll give me about 4 inches of ribbing. Well, not quite, but pretty close. We'll do that. All right, that's good. Now, if you want less, by all means, you make it as long as you want, and then add 1 more chain. So like I said, I made it 12, and then I added 1 more chain for a total of 13 chains. So I'm going to single crochet in the second stitch from the hook, and then I'm going to work my way down, putting 1 single crochet in the remaining chains. And you should have, if you're following along with me, 12 single crochets now. And that's what I went for. All right. It's going to be kind of flimsy for a while. Actually, probably be flimsy until you get it sewn, because when we get back around, we'll sew it together. So what do you want to do now is we're going to slip stitch into the next 2 stitches. So we're not going to count the one that we just started this in. We're going to go to the next one, and we're going to slip stitch into it. and then we're going to slip stitch into the one after that, chain 1, and then we're going to go back up that chain that we just did, working in the back loops only. So this is kind of starting our repeat. So we got 12 stitches up the chain, and we need to work 12 stitches up it, working in the back loop only. So if you look, the loop closest to you on the stitch is your front loop. The stitch furthest away is your back loop. So go into the back loop only and single crochet, and we need to do that for all 12 stitches, back loop only. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It is so fiddly at first. 9, 10, 11, and your last one will be right up here. Make sure you go into the back loop of it, and that will be 12. Now I always count these ribbing stitches every time, each row, because it's easy to lose track and get more or less than what you're supposed to have. Okay, so we did that. Now what we're going to do is chain 1, and we're going to turn the work back, and we're going to go back down that chain space, working in the back loop of every stitch, starting with this very first one. So right here, back loop of it, there's 1, and the back loop of all the remaining stitches should have 12, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and I got one left, is 12. Now that last little one down there is actually the chain 1, so we don't go into that. Just make sure you have your 12. And then we kind of we're going to repeat this all the way around. So again, we're going to slip stitch into the next 2 stitches. We do not count the one that we started our chain in, so that was that one. So we go to the next one, and we slip stitch into it. And then we go to the next one, and we slip stitch into it. Chain 1, and kind of flip your work. And we're going to go back up this chain, back loop only, working in the 12 single crochets, the 12 stitches going in the back loop only of it. And you know, this is what we're going to repeat all the way around. 1, 2, 10, 11. Your last one's always going to be this top one, and that back loop is 12. And again, we're going to chain 1 and turn it back, and we're going to go back down 12 stitches, back loop only, starting with this very first stitch right here. There is 12. That one down there we don't count, so it's like a slip stitch or chain one or something, but all I know is we don't count it. And then we repeat again. So we're going to slip stitch in the next two, not counting this one that we just did our chain in. So we come over here, slip stitch once, slip stitch into the next, chain one, and then we go back up. Remember, we always work in the back loops up, and then we always work in the back loops down. If you're following along with me, remember that you will always count, because it's very easy to lose count on this ribbing. You will always have 12 stitches if you're following along with me. And let's see how big my ribbing is now that I've started it here. So my ribbing is, yeah, it's about 4 inches. And that's good. Remember though, you can adjust. You can make it a lot longer if you want to, where it like folds over completely. Or you can make it shorter. It's your cardigan. You do it however you want. And like I said, it's going to be all floppy. And it's going to do this pretty much all the way around. But what you want to do is continue this pattern all the way around, like I said, back past the sleeve crossing, all the way to the top, which will be the neck, all the way back around, back past this sleeve crossing, all the way until you get over here to where you started. And this is where I'll meet back up with you, and then we'll sew it together here, and it'll be like one complete round of ribbing. All right, this is going to take me a little bit. So, well, I'll be back on in just a second. And then we will do some ribbing maybe around the sleeves. I mean, I'll see what it looks like, but you can always do it if you want, even if I don't. I probably will. But anyways, I'm going to continue this ribbing all the way around my entire piece, and I'll see you here in just a second. All right, so I'm coming to the end after going all the way around my entire piece with this ribbing, and I'm back to where I started. So yours might be different than mine because we just evenly spaced our single crochets around our entire rectangle, so we didn't have a specific number. But I just finished going down mine, and here's where I started it, and you can see that I only have one stitch left. So what I'm going to do is slip stitch into that last stitch, and then I'm going to slip stitch again over to the very first one I started in. Now if you have two left at the end, that's fine. Just go ahead and slip stitch into those two. And if you don't have any left, you don't have to do anything. You can wait just 1 second. Let me go back up this row and then back down it, and we'll just go ahead and sew it together. So you just want to make sure that you don't have any stitches left here, whether it be you ended in the last stitch or you slip stitch into the beginning stitch. Doesn't really matter, but as long as you have no stitches here in between your last row. So let me go ahead and chain one and go back up this row, and then I'll go back down it just like normal. All right, so I went up that row and then back down it again. So now I'm here with nothing left, and here's where we started. And again, I'm going to slip stitch into the last spot that we started in, and then I'm going to tie this up. But I want to pull a long tail so we can sew it together. We're just going to seam up this ribbing here. So you can use your yarn needle. There's going to probably be 2 tails here. This is, well, if you didn't sew yours in yet, that's from the beginning. So you want to go ahead and grab your yarn needle, and we're just going to neatly sew this ribbing together with your tail. So I kind of just do the back and forth method. It's not really any certain way that you have to sew it, but I just do it as neatly as possible, back and forth like this. Grab a piece from each side and go back and forth all the way up. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. right, now when you make it to the top, I want to make sure you get the top sewn up good. I kind of go to the very top of each piece and sew it good. Get it like that. I'm going to do that top part again. You know, just so we don't have anything coming undone. You can look at it and see if it looks okay to you. I'm going to go through that one more time. There we go. Now I'm going to kind of neatly go back down it just for some added security. Plus it hides this tail at the same time. You'll be able to clip this tail off. Alright, I think that's probably good there. And then you'll want to, looks good, looks good. So that ribbing around is done. You want to hide this tail too on the back. After you get that hidden, we just have the sleeves. Sorry about that noise. Sorry, this table is not very big. Let me zoom out just a bit and I'll show you what we got so far. So here's the top of it. It's going to fold around your neck. I'll show you here in a second, like kind of like that, see? And then this goes down. And we got to do the sleeves. So for the sleeves, I actually just did the exact same thing on the sleeves. See, I got one done right here. And if that looks okay to you, you saw the pictures there, that's what you can do on yours. And I'll show you how we do it. First thing you want to do is count your stitches of your single crochets here along your sleeve. And you want them to be about the approximate number on each sleeve. It does, you know, had to be exact, like I said, because we just kind of measured in between 6.5 and 7 inches. So, you know, count the number of single crochets and kind of keep them around the same number, you know, within a few stitches of each other. And we're just going to do the ribbing the same way around the sleeve that we just did around the whole piece. So I'm going to go ahead and start my yarn. One thing I'm going to do is start though in this first stitch here, and I'm going to grab the next stitch on the opposite side like that, and I'm going to start through both of those. So I'm going to pull my yarn through and leave a tail there hanging, and now I'm going to start with a chain of 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Single crochet in the second from the hook, and then a single crochet all the way down. Remember, this is how we did the ribbing on all around the big piece. It's just the same way. It's just going to be a little bit smaller. So you'll have 12 single crochets when you get down here to the beginning. It's gonna be all flippity floppity for a while. That's okay. It'll look better when we get it sewed up. Let me count here. Yep. This first one's always the hardest. And there's 12. All right, so now we're not going to go through 2 anymore. Just that first one. We went through 2. Now we're going to start doing the same pattern that we did around our big piece by slip stitching into the next 2. Do not start in this one, but go to the next one. and then the next one after that. Chain 1 and turn. Remember, here we're going around the whole sleeve like this, just like we did our big piece. And then we go back loop only, single crochet up this chain, and you should have 12 stitches. Ten, 11, 12, chain 1 and turn, and go back down, back loop only, and you'll have 12 stitches again. Back loop in the very first stitch here. If you want to make the ribbing on your sleeves longer, you can do as many single crochets as you'd like. I decided to keep it at 12 to match the ribbing around the entire cardigan. Alrighty, and I'm just going to continue this pattern all the way around my sleeve. There's 12. And again, we slip stitch in the next two. We don't count the one that this one started in, so we go to the next one, slip stitch, and then the next one, slip stitch, chain 1, kind of turn your piece and go back up the ribbing again, back loop only, 12 single crochets, chain 1, turn, go back down your ribbing, back loop only, single crochets. So remember, it's the same thing that we just did all the way around our whole piece, except for it's a little bit smaller now because it's around your sleeve. So I'm going to continue, and I'll meet back up with you here at the beginning. Alright, so I've made it all the way around my sleeve to, I went up and down my last stitch, and I'm going to go ahead and end by slip stitching into my first stitch that I slip stitched into, and then I'm going to pull up and I'm going to sew it the same way that we sewed our last ribbing together. So we just kind of pull it out like that and hold it together, and we use the tail and sew it up the same way. Alright, so finished this sleeve. You do the same thing on the other sleeve, and that's it. Then you're finished with the whole thing. I hope that you guys enjoyed my video, and I hope you were able to follow along okay. Just go ahead and hide any remaining tails you have, and you know, that's it. I think it turned out really pretty, and I hope that you guys do, or did too. Remember, if you make this, you can show me a picture on my Facebook page. I'll put a link below in the description box. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of my other videos. I got well over 1,000 tutorials at the making of this video, and I continue to put them on. So give me a like and a comment below, and I'll see you guys on my next video. Okay, bye guys.